The argument started over something stupid. I'd borrowed my sister Melissa's car 2 days earlier because mine was in the shop, and I'd returned it with the gas tank half empty instead of full. She'd been building to an explosion all evening during what was supposed to be a casual dinner at her house. "You're always like this," she said, following me to the front door. "Always taking, never considering other people. Do you know how much gas costs? I'll Venmo you $20 right now." It's not about the money. It's about respect, about consideration, about you thinking the world revolves around you. I'd stepped outside onto her front porch, trying to de-escalate by leaving. My jacket was still inside on her couch. So was my phone, and my emergency medication. I'm type 1 diabetic. Have been since I was 12. I manage it carefully, check my blood sugar regularly, and always keep glucose tablets and insulin with me. That night, I'd left my supply bag on Melissa's coffee table when I stepped outside to cool down. I felt the symptoms start about 30 seconds into her lecture through the open door. The shakiness, the cold sweat, the confusion that comes with rapidly dropping blood sugar. I'd been stressed, hadn't eaten much at dinner, and my glucose was crashing hard. "Melissa," I interrupted. "I need to come back inside. I'm having a low." "Oh, here we go. Drama time. Every time I try to have a serious conversation with you, suddenly you have a medical emergency." "I'm not joking. I need my glucose tablets. They're in my bag on your couch. You can get them after you've apologized for being inconsiderate." "Melissa, I'm serious. I'm hypoglycemic. I need sugar now." She looked at me for a long moment, at the sweat on my forehead, at my shaking hands. Then she stepped back and closed the door. I heard the deadbolt turn. I pounded on the door. "Melissa, open the door. This isn't funny." "Not my problem." Her voice came through muffled. "Maybe next time you'll think about other people instead of just yourself. I'm going to pass out. Please, I need my medication." No response. I tried the doorbell, kept knocking. My vision was starting to blur. The hypoglycemia was getting worse. Without glucose, I'd lose consciousness. Severe hypoglycemia can cause seizures, brain damage, or death. I stumbled off the porch toward the neighbor's house. Made it about 10 feet before my legs gave out. The last thing I remember is the concrete of Melissa's driveway coming up to meet me. I woke up in an ambulance. The neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, had seen me collapse from her window and called 911. The paramedics gave me glucose, and I've regained consciousness, but they were taking me to the hospital for monitoring. "Your sister wouldn't open the door," Mrs. Patterson said. "She'd ridden in the ambulance with me. I knocked and told her you'd collapsed. She said you were being dramatic and to leave her alone." I spent 6 hours in the emergency room. My blood sugar had dropped to 43, critically low. The doctor said that another 10 minutes and I could have had permanent brain damage or died. Melissa texted me around midnight. "Hope you're feeling better. Maybe don't be so dramatic next time." I didn't respond. Didn't respond to any of her messages over the following weeks. Didn't answer when she called. Didn't attend family gatherings where she'd be present. My mother tried to mediate. She made a mistake. She didn't realize how serious it was. She locked the door and said it wasn't her problem while I was having a diabetic emergency. She feels terrible about it. Then she can say that to me directly, with an actual apology. The apology never came. Melissa seemed to think enough time passing would make it go away. What she didn't know was that I've been working on something big, a software project I've been developing for 3 years, a data analytics platform for healthcare companies. 6 months after the incident on her porch, my startup was acquired by a major tech company for $12 million. After taxes and splitting with my co-founder, I cleared $5.8 million. I'd gone from barely covering my rent to wealthy overnight. I bought a modest condo, invested carefully, and lived well below my means. I kept my success quiet. My family knew the startup had been acquired, but not for how much. Melissa certainly didn't know. I tracked Melissa's life from a distance through mutual friends and social media. She'd bought her dream house 4 years ago, a craftsman-style home in a trendy neighborhood. She posted about it constantly, called it her forever home, and hosted parties there. Her entire identity became wrapped up in that house. She'd stretched to afford it. I knew because she'd mentioned the mortgage amount during a family dinner once, back before the incident. $490,000 with only 5% down, a loan that required her full income to maintain. When she lost her job 18 months after locking me out, the financial strain showed immediately. She posted less. The house content disappeared from her social media. Through the family grapevine, I heard about the job search dragging on, about her burning through savings, about missed payments. Foreclosure notices are public record. I've been checking the county database monthly for 2 years, watching Melissa's address with cold interest. When the notice posted, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no sympathy, just acknowledgement. The auction was scheduled for a Tuesday morning at the county courthouse. I arrived early, registered as a bidder, and reviewed the property details. The outstanding loan balance was $510,000. Melissa had somehow gone underwater on the mortgage, probably through refinancing or missed payments with penalties. 23 people attended the auction. Most were investors looking for deals. Melissa wasn't there, probably couldn't bear to watch. The auctioneer started bidding at $400,000. Two investors competed back and forth, driving it up slowly. At $475,000, one dropped out. The remaining bidder looked confident. $480,000, I said clearly. The other bidder countered. We went back and forth. At $520,000, he shook his head and stepped back. Sold to bidder 117 for $520,000. I paid the deposit that afternoon. The full amount was due within 30 days. I wired it from my investment account 2 weeks later. The title transferred to my name. The house that Melissa had called her forever home, that she'd stretched herself financially to afford, and that she'd built her identity around, was now mine. The eviction notice was served by the sheriff's department, standard procedure after foreclosure. The new owner had the right to take possession. The former owner had 90 days to vacate. Melissa called me for the first time in nearly 5 years. Did you know about this? Her voice was high, panicked. Did you know my house was in foreclosure? I saw the public notice, yes. Why didn't you tell me? I haven't spoken to you in 5 years. Since you locked me out of your house while I was having a diabetic emergency and told me it wasn't your problem. Silence. The new owner, she said slowly. The eviction notice says the property is owned by Torres Holdings LLC. That's you, isn't it? That's my investment company, yes. You bought my house? I bought a property at a foreclosure auction. It happened to be yours. This is revenge. You're kicking me out of my home because of something that happened years ago? I'm taking possession of a property I legally purchased. You're a former owner whose redemption period has expired. This is business. I have nowhere to go. I don't have money for first and last month's rent somewhere else. I lost my job. I'm barely surviving. You can't do this to me. You're right. You don't have anywhere to go. That must be frightening, not having a safe place, having someone refuse to help you when you're in crisis. That's not the same thing, isn't it? You locked a door while I was dying. I'm buying a house you lost. Seems like your problem is significantly less life-threatening than mine was. I didn't mean for you to get hurt. I was angry. I made a mistake. You texted me afterward and called me dramatic. You never apologized. You never acknowledged what you did. For 5 years, you acted like locking me out during a medical emergency was no big deal. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Is that what you want to hear? What I want is irrelevant. What's happening is you have 90 days to vacate the property. After that, if you're still there, the sheriff will forcibly remove you. Those are the legal requirements. Please, Nathan, I'm your sister. I know I screwed up. I know I should have opened the door. I should have believed you, but please don't punish me like this. I'm not punishing you. I'm exercising my legal rights as a property owner. You chose to stretch yourself financially on a house you couldn't actually afford. You chose not to have adequate savings. You chose not to find work quickly enough to save the house. Those were your choices. I'm just the person who bought it after your choices caught up with you. What do you want from me? Groveling? Begging? What will it take for you to let me stay? Nothing. There's nothing you can offer me. The house is mine. You need to accept that and make arrangements. She started crying, heavy, desperate sobs, the sound of someone whose world is collapsing. I felt nothing. 90 days, I said. I suggest you use them wisely. I hung up before she could respond. My mother called within an hour. Your sister says you bought her house at foreclosure and you're evicting her. That's accurate. How could you do this? She's family. She's struggling. You have millions of dollars and you're taking away her home. She lost her home when she stopped paying the mortgage. I simply purchased it legally. Would you prefer that a stranger buy it? I prefer you show some compassion. She made a mistake years ago. Haven't you moved past it? Have I moved past nearly dying on her driveway while she refused to open the door? No, actually, I haven't. Have I moved past her texting me that I was being dramatic while I was in the hospital? Not really. So this is revenge. This is consequence. There's a difference. You're going to make your sister homeless. She made herself homeless by losing a house she couldn't afford. I'm just the person who bought it afterward. If you're so concerned about her housing, you have a guest room. She can stay there. My mother didn't answer that. We both knew Melissa had burned bridges with our parents over borrowed money that was never repaid. The 90 days passed slowly. I hired a property management company to handle the details. They conducted the required inspections, documented the property's condition, and processed the eviction timeline. I drove by the house once, about 60 days in. Melissa's car was in the driveway. The flower boxes she'd installed were empty, the plants dead. The pride she'd taken in the exterior was gone. It looked neglected, sad. I felt a flicker of something. Not quite sympathy. More like recognition that her dream was ending. But dreams die all the time. Mine almost died on her driveway 5 years ago. On day 88, Melissa moved out. The property manager confirmed she'd left the keys and that the house was vacant. I had the locks changed and hired cleaners. I didn't plan to live there. Didn't want to. It was an investment property, nothing more. I'd rent it out, probably to a family who'd appreciate it, who'd maintain it better than Melissa had in her final struggling year. But before I listed it for rent, I walked through it once. Saw the layout she'd loved, the kitchen she'd renovated, the backyard she'd landscaped. Saw the life she'd built and then lost. In the master bedroom closet, she'd left a photo, a framed picture of her standing in front of the house the day she bought it, holding up the keys, beaming with pride and joy. I took the photo down, put it in a box with other items she'd left behind, and had the property manager deliver the box to my mother's house, where Melissa was temporarily staying. Not out of kindness, out of completeness. She should have that photo, should remember what she had, should remember that actions have consequences that sometimes take 5 years to fully manifest. I listed the house for rent at market rate. Had applications within 3 days. Shows a young couple with a baby, both with stable jobs, good references, the kind of tenants who'd stay long-term and take care of the place. They moved in on the 1st of the month. I collected rent on the 5th. The house that Melissa had called her forever home became a rental property in my portfolio, generating passive income and building equity. Sometimes I think about that night on her porch, about pounding on the door while my blood sugar dropped, about her voice through the woods saying it wasn't her problem. I think about waking up in the ambulance, about the hospital, about the terror of nearly dying while someone who should have cared chose not to. And then I think about the auction, about my calm bid, about the title transferring to my name, about Melissa packing boxes in the house she thought she'd own forever, about her learning that problems have a way of becoming mutual, that doors lock from both sides, that not my problem is a dangerous thing to say when you might someday need help yourself. I didn't buy her house for revenge. I bought it because it was a good investment opportunity in an appreciating neighborhood, because the numbers made sense, because I had the capital and the knowledge to make the purchase. That it was Melissa's house was just cosmic timing. That she had nowhere to go was just irony. That I felt nothing about it was just consequence. 5 years ago, she locked a door while I was dying and said it wasn't her problem. Today, I own the house she couldn't afford, and she's someone else's problem. Not revenge, just real estate. And the rent is due on the 1st.